Hello again. This month I want to continue on the same sort of theme that I was on last month. Last month, you remember, I was talking about the sign in the heavens, about the woman clothed with the sun and with the moon at her feet. Now this month I want to talk about a 3-hour eclipse. Now on August 21st, 2017, there was a coast-to-coast total eclipse of the sun over the United States. Total eclipses are fairly rare and are caused by the moon passing between the earth and the sun. Now the sun is about 400 times bigger than our moon, but it's also 400 times further away. So the little moon, being closer to us, is able to block out all the sun, even though the sun is bigger. The longest time that an eclipse lasts normally is between 7.5 minutes. And then gradually sunlight is restored and life goes on. Another total eclipse in America is due on April 4th, 2024. That's in 7 years' time. Now, where the total eclipses cross, one goes across America and one comes down, and where they cross, their path of intersection is going to be quite interesting. Maybe I'll teach on that at a later date. Let's go back to the crucifixion. Do you remember the events that accompanied the crucifixion? He was crucified, Jesus was crucified at the time of the Passover feast on Calvary, just outside Jerusalem. 3 of the gospel writers record the event. Jesus was speaking to one of the thieves, and he taught him about paradise and said, "Today, if you trust me, you'll be with me in paradise." Then when noon came, which is the 6th hour, until 3 p.m, which is the 9th hour, there was darkness over the whole land. Now that's recorded in Matthew 27, verse 45, Mark 15, verse 33, and Luke 23, 44. 3 of the gospel writers recording that. Now that was a 3-hour eclipse. Now this darkness could not have been the result of the moon blocking out the sunlight, because the moon is too small. But the darkness was real enough, and it was observed as far away as Egypt. That's what we find from reading independent historical writers. It's in their records. Now, the heavenly body must have been bigger than our moon to cause such a long eclipse. As I say, the moon can only cause an eclipse for 7.5 minutes. But what heavenly body could have caused it? Well, it's only recently that its identity has been disclosed. Let's go back to the topic I covered in my last newsletter. On September the 23rd, 2017, there was the sign in heaven. Remember from Revelation 12, verses 1 and 2, a great sign in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And, being with child, cried out in birth pangs in the anguish of her delivery. For about 9.5 months, the king planet Jupiter has been, from our perspective, inside the constellation of Virgo, the woman clothed with the sun. On the 23rd of September 2017, Jupiter left the body of Virgo, and then, quoting from Revelation 12, verse 3 and 4, and then another sign was seen in heaven. Behold, a huge fiery red dragon, stationed himself in front of the woman who was about to be delivered, so that he might devour the child as soon as she brought it forth. Huge fiery red dragon. Now, what is this mysterious dragon, and what's the significance of the child? Well, let's back up a bit. NASA discovered the movement of an object, which was perhaps a new planet, on the 21st of October 2003. Now, that object was passing through our solar system. And in 2005, they confirmed that indeed it was a planet. Well, why hadn't it been noticed before? Well, it seems that this particular planet is only visible in the infrared range. So we need an infrared telescope. And of course, in the last few years, these have become much more sophisticated and efficient. And so why wasn't it noticed before? It's only visible in the infrared range, and it's surrounded by huge debris clouds of red dust. But it's huge, about 4 to 5 times the size of the Earth. Now, this newly discovered planet has been named Nibiru. Apparently, it has an elliptical orbit and only enters our solar system every 3,500 years to go round the sun and then back out again into dark space. Now, this object certainly is large enough to have caused the 3-hour eclipse at the time of the crucifixion. The moon couldn't have done it, but Nibiru could. Now, nowadays, mainstream science is convinced that the strange weather that we're all experiencing has been caused by man-made emissions of carbon dioxide and other so-called greenhouse gases from car engines and manufacturing processes. Highly paid officials, I think, would probably still believe that the Earth was flat as long as the money kept flowing. The effect on our weather is not caused by greenhouse gases. The unusually devastating earthquakes, tsunamis, and things like that, which have caused extensive damage, it is not surprising to me that the United Nations Secretary General has now said, spend much more money on investigating the control of greenhouse gases. It's amazing. Millions and millions of taxpayers' money, probably trillions, have been controlled by the 1% of the elites who peddle this nonsense, teach people that it's this and therefore demand governments pay a lot of money. Long live the cash cow of the Paris Accord. What NASA, and remember NASA is never a straight answer, not North American Space Agency, what NASA refuses to admit is that the huge magnetic field of this passing giant planet, that's the real cause of what is affecting the molten magma under our Earth's crust. But such is the unusual deceit in the minds of so many, Matthew 24, that if we don't swallow the lie, we're considered weird. It's us who are weird. We don't believe it. We say it's this planet that's going by, its magnetic field pulling on our Earth's magma, causing all this weird weather. NASA, in fact, have deliberately lost the file on Nibiru for over 20 years. However, whether NASA say it's there or not, this red dragon will continue to do what the Apostle John saw it doing. Jupiter was the child that emerged from Virgo on September the 23rd, 2017. This is clear from scientific records. So our eyes should now be on the developments on Jupiter, as Nibiru is there and ready to devour and pounce on that particular planet. Now, if there is a collision between Jupiter and Nibiru, this will cause huge segments of rock to be released into space. These are called meteors, and they could result in months of meteor shower coming to the Earth. They could fall as red hot masses to the ground. In Matthew 24 verse 29 to 35, Luke 21 25 to 28, and in Revelation 8 6 to 10. Those are good Bible references to look up because they could refer to meteors dropping from the sky. Now we're past the 23rd of September 2017. This is the November recording, remember? And people may say, well, nothing happened. It's all a big scam. Well, maybe they've not been watching international news. Nothing's happened. So far, there have been huge hurricanes with record-breaking wind speed and consequent damage. Harvey, Irma, Maria and others that have been bubbling up over the Caribbean and other places. There have been 5 enormous earthquakes, Mexico 8.2 and 7.1, Vanuatu, am I saying this right? Vanuata, near Fiji anyway, it's an island, 6.4, Japan 6.1 and New Zealand 6.1, huge earthquakes. Now, as nothing happened, there's been a huge increase in earthquakes, tsunamis and hurricanes. Things are different. So as we see these things begin to happen, look up, for our redemption draws nigh. Luke 21, 28. 3-hour eclipse. It could not have been caused by our moon. There's something out there, and scientists refuse to admit that Nibiru exists, but there's much documentation that it does, and even photographic evidence. So keep your eye on Jupiter, and I'll see you next month. God bless you, and thanks for listening. There we go. See you next month.